You can grow to be a millionaire in all 6 aspects of health. That's right, we share tips every week to improve your mental, social, spiritual, physical, financial, obviously, and your intellectual health. Today, we are focusing on how to improve your intellectual health with problem solving. Woohoo! If you have never seen an episode of Millionaires Are Made, this is a show built on the fundamental belief that every person you meet knows something that you don't, and there's something to be learned from everyone in this big, beautiful world. Here at Millionaires Are Made, we are on a mission to teach the world how to grow into the healthiest, happiest millionaires in all aspects of life. How do we do that? Well, today we got 3 awesome guests that are going to give you 3 awesome tips on how to improve your intellectual health with problem solving. And in the spirit of authenticity, to try to remove as much bias as possible, we do not discuss our advice or tips beforehand. So when they come on air and they tell you their advice, it's going to be our first time hearing it as well. Audience, if you are watching this show, this is an interactive show. Please leave comments and questions, and we will ask and answer them live. So feel free to drop a comment wherever you want. Audience, we're going to shout out a couple of our followers as well. We love you and thank you so much. On Facebook, Grace Anderson, you're awesome. Instagram, Cody Sizemore, thank you for following. TikTok, Danny Cadete. And on YouTube, Eli Delaney. Thank you all for being a part of our show, following us and helping us continue. On that note, if you do love what we do, sharing advice and gathering experts, feel free to do the old share, subscribe, like, stars, whatever it is, wherever you're watching it. We'd highly, highly appreciate that. And we'd also ask something else of you. If you want to be a guest on our show, we love guests, and we know that everyone in the world has something to share. Shoot us we're dropping the link right now. Shoot us all your info. We'll get you on our show. Whatever topic you want, we'd love to have that too. If you have any topic ideas, anyone watching this right now, we would love to hear about it. Just drop a comment however you're watching it, or shoot us an email on our link that just dropped now. We'd love to have topic ideas, new guests, all that fun stuff is super important to us, and it's how we keep the show going. Oh boy. Merchandise. If you want a Millionaires Made shirt, we have it. If you need mugs, calendars, all that other fun stuff, we finally launched our merchandise site. We're dropping a link right now. Go spread the word, have some fun, get some merch. And the next link to drop is going to be my free one-on-one growth session offer. I love talking to people. I love teaching and helping. So I do offer free coaching every week. That link's being dropped right now. Sign up. It is completely free, and I'd love to talk to you, chat with you, and see how I can help you. And before we bring out our guests, this show would not be possible without these 4 amazing people. First off, we have Craig Sakovsky, a human behaviorist and mentor, helping entrepreneurs discover their true identity, purpose, and achieve their growth in business and life, which is what all entrepreneurs want. Go check out Craig. He's awesome. Go say hi. Next, we have Sarah Jones, who used to be drowning in debt in a failing marriage and eventually got tired of all that, redid everything, left her very popular Dave Ramsey-esque program, and built her own path to financial healing and relationship repair. Now she's a certified financial coach and helps couples, individuals, and small businesses build healthy money habits to bring back joy to managing finances. She's great. Next up, Veronica Herrera, who is a life coach and host of the Thrive, Don't Survive podcast, empowers others with emotional regulation tools to transform challenges into thriving successes, something that we really could be using a lot in this very emotionally unstable environment we live in these days. Kim Kroshik is our final sponsor here, 2-time international best-selling author and speaker, helping CEOs maximize focus, energy, and health with 30-plus years of industry leadership experience. Go check out Kim, say hi. Definitely support our sponsors so they can keep bringing us here. And without further ado, we're going to bring out our first guest. His name is Brian. He's been here before, but he's got new advice on how to improve intellectual health with problem solving. Brian, who are you?
Hey, Austin. Thank you for having me back. Basically, in a nutshell, I host a weekly radio show, a live show called Success Profiles Radio. I've been doing that since January 2012, over 600 hour-long episodes, airs every Monday at 6 p.m. Eastern. I also publish a magazine called Ultimate Achievers Magazine. It's a personal development and business magazine. It's content-driven, very few, if any, ads at all. And I also help people write their books. And so that, in a nutshell, is what I do. So the overall encapsulation of that is I help people get their message out to the world so that they can thrive and everyone can see their brilliance and be impacted by them.
And you do it very well, Brian.
Thank you.
Now I've got another important question. You obviously do
Yes.
a lot with books and reading and content and that, so I think this is going to be great for you. If I wanted to improve my intellectual health with problem solving, what piece of advice would you give me?
Well, usually if it's a problem based on should I or shouldn't I like to use the Ben Franklin method, and he taught that if you wrote your question, your problem at the top of the page, and pros and cons, what are the benefits of doing the thing you're thinking about, and what are the benefits of not doing the thing you're thinking about, and write out every reason you can in both columns. And then what you do is you select the most important reason on either side, and then the
Ooh,
second important reason on either side, and the third important reason on either side. In fact, I did this with a coworker one time when I was working a summer job, and she was trying to debate whether she should stay in DC or go back to Ohio and finish college. And I had her do this exercise. I asked her first, second, third most important reasons. They were all in the same column. I said, I think you know what you need to do. And she said, yeah, I do. And so that's a great way of doing it. Another tool that I like to teach people, and I learned this from Brian Tracy. If you are trying to figure out, for example, how to make $25,000 in a month or $10,000 in a month or whatever your number is, write down that question at the top of the page. How can I make $25,000 this month? And then come up with at least 20 answers to that question without censoring yourself. The first 3 or 4 might be really easy, but the challenge is to continue until you come up with 20 answers. When you are done, figure out which one or two of those things you can do right now. And you might be surprised. The most brilliant answer might be the very, very last one you come up with. So Brian
okay.
Tracy teaches that. It's basically called the 20 questions method, except you're coming up with 20 answers to your problem or your challenge, and then deciding which one is the most actionable thing you can do right now, and then go. That's the key. Once you have your answer, go, 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 do it now. Because if you marinate on it, chances are the inspiration will go away and you won't do it and you'll be stuck. And why did you do the exercise to start with? So there it is.
Fantastic. And now the next follow-up question, since it's 2025, is can you automate those tasks with AI?
That's a very interesting question. I hadn't really thought about that. One thing I love with Chat GPT is if you are prompting correctly, you can get a lot of great information. I have found that when I ask a question, I get a general answer, which teaches me that I need to ask the question more specifically. So maybe what I might do is if I might ask ChatGPT, for example, if I need to make $25,000 in a month, and these are my areas of expertise, give me 10 actionable things that I can do within the next 30 days to achieve that goal. And then I'll just let it talk.
Yeah, and you can always. So I think the most effective way would be is if you input a lot of your, pretty much anything you've typed in your life. If you've done SOPs
Hmm.
or if you blog or anything like that, put that in there because it can take all that data from you and who you are. And
Hmm.
honestly, sometimes I don't know. AI right now, I think, is about an average human, and I don't think those are that smart. So, uh, but if you use
It'll
it
get
well,
there.
I think it can deduct things. It can deduct things about you that you didn't see just from your writing,
Hmm.
your content, that kind of stuff, which is a fascinating little tool. Brian, where in your life journey did you learn this information?
I've been reading Brian Tracy since I was in college, graduate school. So that has been a very, very important thing to me. In fact, I was at a point in my life where I just really needed to have some positivity in my life because I was just going to and fro wherever the ocean took me, and the idea of setting goals and doing actionable things was new to me. And so I started laying my hands on everything I could think of, whether it's David Schwartz's The Magic of Thinking Big, which is a great book, by the way, Brian Tracy's Create Your Own Future, which is also a great book. just finding great resources. And now I've been embracing Audible, because if I don't have the patience to sit there and read and flip pages, I would rather listen and take notes and just let my mind marinate on what I'm hearing. And I can always stop and start and, write down what I missed. And I've got some really great books on Audible that I'm listening to right now that really have me very excited. And so that's where I
Okay.
learned it. And I think continuing the journey has been really important to where I am now.
Awesome. All right, Brian. Oh man, you went too long. I knew you would. Time to
God
move on
damn,
to our
sorry.
next guest. We'll bring you back out in the round robin. No problem at all. Next up, we have Francine. Francine,
Good
hey, who
morning.
are you?
I am Francine Juhlin, author, speaker, and coach. And most recently, I am a children's book author.
Ooh, fascinating. Is that? Do I see your book up there?
That is my book. That's the first one. The second one's coming out next month.
Nice. All right, children's book author. All right, Francine, I've got an important question for you. If I wanted to improve my health with problem solving, what tiny piece of advice would you give me?
The same advice I gave to the children in this book. The magic library is your
Perfect.
brain before meditation, and Sparkle Feathers, the kooky character, helps kids learn how to meditate to clear their brain. I developed a 6-step process of personal change, which is a mixture of what I learned in um, the industrial and corporate environment change management as a change management specialist. And what I did to apply it to personal change is make meditation the first step, because I was going through a change in my life, and to really figure out the root cause of my problems and what I needed to change, I had to clear all that junk out of my head so I could think properly. So, intellectually, if you're trying to solve a problem, you need to clear the junk and look at it with a calm mind.
Clear the junk. All right. With meditation, correct?
Correct.
All right. Francine, where on your life journey did you learn this advice?
I was getting ready to retire from my 33-year career as an aircraft electrician for the military. As you could imagine, being an female aircraft electrician for the military my whole adult life, I was having a little bit of an identity crisis. What do I do next? That's all I know how to do. Oh my gosh, do I continue doing this as a civilian, or do I find something new? And I hired a business coach and a holistic health coach, because after coming home from Iraq, I got very unhealthy.
Sounds about
And
right.
both coaches told me the same thing. Two pieces of advice. Number one, I needed to meditate. And number two, I had to get up from behind my desk at lunchtime and go out into nature and take a walk.
That is two very important pieces of advice. I love it. Awesome, Francine. Thank you so much. We'll bring you back out in the round robin after we hear from our next guest, Andre. We'll see you in just a couple minutes. Andre, tell me, who
Hello.
are you?
I'm a professional artist. I've been doing characters professionally around the country and around the world for the past 13 years for various companies like Coca-Cola, IKEA, Paramount, Ferris festivals. And outside of that, I was a former pro bodybuilder. I won a pro international show as well as a junior world show. And I am just a general entrepreneur. Like right now, I'm trying to launch a water company.
Oh man, you're like the third person I know trying to launch a water company. Did you say you're a caricaturist?
Yes.
So you draw people in goofy ways.
Yes.
I like that. That made you laugh. Fascinating. Pro bodybuilder, caricaturist, correct?
Yes. Oh, yeah.
And now launching a water company. Why is your water company cool?
Well, I've noticed like a big gap in the market. One, I think that like when I'm looking for water at the store, everything I see is just in plastic bottles. And the options that aren't plastic, you have stuff like Saratoga Springs and these blue bottles. And I mean, I don't really like their water that much. But then the other options, you have another brand called Move, I think it is, or Adapt, and it's in aluminum cans, which I like their marketing, but I don't like the packaging. And there's just not a lot of options. And not just is there not a lot of options for people in this space, especially me coming from a health and fitness background, but like you don't even have like flavored water that's not in plastic bottles. So I'm trying to make an impact and just change how it's done.
Have you learned that like 60% of all water is from the same sources?
I have actually.
Yeah. After the show, hit me up and I'll connect you with my. Oh gosh. Hit me up after the show and I'll connect you with my buddy that's launching his water company and see if you guys can do something together.
Sounds good. I agree.
That's funny. All right, where on your life journey did you learn that, or did we ask your tip yet? We have
You
not.
haven't asked the question yet.
Yeah, I asked way more questions than I thought I would. All right. Important question for you, Andre. If I wanted to improve my intellectual health with problem solving, what tiny piece of advice would you give me?
I would actually give two pieces of advice. One, to strategically pause before responding, because the fastest thinkers aren't always the best problem solvers. And sometimes it's best to slow down and ask better questions. And to follow that up, a lot of times, like I feel like that's an underrated skill because it reduces impulse thinking and it improves better questions, as well as you regulate your nervous system when you start to slow down. But the second piece of advice I have, which to follow that up because it kind of goes along with it, is just auditing my senses. So, for example, a lot of times where I get really, really stressed, especially when there's like a lot of stuff coming at me at once, I've learned from a therapist actually to like just take a moment, like ask, where am I? What do I smell? What do I see? What do I feel right now? How does my body feel? How's my mind feel? And like just go through all my senses, all my emotions. And by the time I get done with this, I start to calm down and think better so that way I can actually solve problems better.
Fascinating. I like that, going through all your senses. You kind of briefly touched this, but go ahead and let us know where on your life journey did you learn that advice?
So the pausing before responding is probably just a combination of like making a lot of bad choices when I was younger. I mean, at least in the sense of just in a lot of my relationship contexts where a lot of times I would just respond quickly and just react without actually taking a moment just to like calm down or hear people out. But the auditing the senses, I actually learned from a therapist out of Portugal because like I was trying to find ways to regulate my nervous system, and it's one of the many ways.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Andre. Let's bring out our other guests and have a nice little chat. Welcome back, Brian and Francine. All right, let's start off with Brian. Can you quickly, audience, this is also a great time to ask your questions. We will answer them live. So if you have any questions, just type in those little comments and we'll ask them out loud. Brian, do you quickly want to refresh your tip for us?
Yes, if you are facing a problem or a challenge, write it in the form of a question at the top of your page and come up with at least 20 different ways that you can answer that question without censoring yourself. And once your list is done, pick something and take action on it. The one that you think is the fastest path to solving your problem, take action on it.
Love it. All right, Francine, what are your thoughts on Brian's tip?
I think that's a good tool to use because writing can be cathartic. Just writing something down can make 3 new thoughts pop into your mind that you hadn't thought about before.
Yeah, that is pretty interesting. Andre, what are your thoughts?
I kind of agree with Francine. I write a lot, and And normally when I'm going through a lot of problems, before I even start consulting friends, I write down all of my feelings, what's bothering me, and then start looking at all the possible solutions I can actually come up with for this problem. And then I go to friends afterwards just to ask for their feedback and sometimes see if they actually agree with me or have any better tips.
Nice.
Brian
Smart.
knows this because I've done it with him.
Yeah, we do this with each other all the time.
And it works perfectly.
Absolutely.
It does.
Awesome. All right, Francine, let's go to your tip. What can you quickly refresh what your tip was for us?
My tip is if you have a dilemma and you need to solve it quickly, the best way to do it is take a step back, meditate, calm your mind, and look at it from a fresh point of view.
Awesome. So that seems to align a lot with Andre's tip with the 5 senses. Andre, tell us your thoughts on Francine's tip.
I agree. So it is very similar. Even just this general meditation and mindfulness practices that she mentioned, it's very similar to everything I said. So I strongly agree.
So it's fascinating. Most people think problem solving, okay, problem arises, who can quickly think and figure it out? And both of you are saying, shut up,
Slow down.
don't think it out, and sit back for a second. Brian, you agree with that?
Yeah, I do. In fact, one of my favorite things to kind of bounce off of what they said, I like to either pray about it or I like to put myself in a completely different, like step away from the place where my situation is happening. It might be going for a walk. It might be going for a drive. It clears my head. In fact, just yesterday, I had a situation where I thought of some different ways to solve a particular challenge I was having while I was driving. And just the act of being out of your normal area of operation and just going somewhere else can be very illuminating. And so, yeah, whether you're doing it physically, whether you're doing it mentally, it's all valid. So I do agree. Yes.
All right. So, you guys, if you're on the Floor is Lava game show and you have 2 paths to go with, you guys, and it's timed, obviously, time is important. All 3 of you are the ones who would look at both of them, step back, sit and think, and let some other idiot go first.
Yeah.
I prefer going second. I want to see what the first person did before I decide if that's a legitimate path or not. Yes. If possible, yes. I don't like being last, but I do like being second.
I would let somebody else get out. I'd be like, oh, look, he messed up. I know not to go there.
Mm-hmm.
But if he beats you, he gets $1 million and you get nothing.
Oh, well, my life won't change.
Wow. All right.
Like, it was a great experience.
Oh, man. You guys should read a book called The Road Less Traveled by Keith Cunningham.
That sounds great.
It's literally like 200 pages on how to properly think. So the story of Keith is he was worth like 100 million, and then like 3 massive bad decisions in a row, and within like 2 years lost all of it, and then built himself back up to another $100 million net worth. And so he wrote his book about how, the first time he just did things, whatever, maybe a lot of luck, who knows, and then lost it all with 3 big decisions he obviously regretted and wish he could have had back. And so it's a book all about like literally just thinking. It's called The Road. What's his? Yeah, it's fascinating. All the different thinking techniques, how he sets aside like 30 minutes a week or whatever, and he has his list of like questions to ask and go. So it's kind of like what Brian was saying. The Road Less Stupid. That's the name of the
Yes.
book.
That's what it's called.
Less
Yes.
Stupid.
The Road Less Stupid.
Yeah. Have you read it, Brian?
I have not. I've gazed at it on Audible and wondered, should I or shouldn't I? But I do have a credit, so maybe I will. Now that you've brought it up and have said that you liked it. Yes.
Yeah, so it's a little. I would say it's redundant because it's a lot of, like, okay, for fast thinkers that don't, or fast people that don't like to think, you have to think a lot during the book, and that's frustrating. And then it's all about different ways to think and all that. But I think you guys would really actually enjoy it from what all you have said. It's basically just a high level version of step back, think, solve problems. But the cool part about it is he has all the questions he asks there. So he like goes to his own study, and everyone knows like it's his thinking time. He calls it thinking time, and he does like he has like a 20-minute timer where the first 20 minutes is kind of what you said. He clears out his mind. He has like 5 questions that he asks, and then after that 20 minutes is when he like stops and goes, okay, now let's delve a little bit deeper. And then he does like 40 minutes of like high level questions and whatnot. So you guys might get something out of it. It sounds a lot like up you guys' alley. I don't know. You might want to check it out. All right, next question. Intellectual health problem solving. How do you know that the problem was solved correctly?
That one
I
is
think
interesting because you really don't until you test it. I've got that sciencey thing since I was in electronics. You could build a circuit board, but until you actually put power to it and test it, you don't know if it's going to work, even if the last 100 you built just like it does. So you could be following the same model somebody else used,
yeah.
and it might not work for you. And I'm going through that right now.
Yeah.
The model that worked for me selling my adult programs is not working selling my kids' programs. So I have to change my model because I'm not speaking directly to the consumer. I'm speaking to the adult who buys it for the consumer. So, yes, you have to try it first before you know if it's going to work.
Yeah. I think
I've
for
t-
me, I know that the problem was solved correctly if my body tells me so. If I feel at peace with how it turned out, then I am fine and I can walk away with it and move on.
I actually had 2 thoughts.
Mhm.
So I'll let Brian follow up his
Oh,
thought.
I'm done. I'm
Okay,
done.
cool.
Go ahead.
So I was actually going to say something similar for one of the thoughts to Brian, how like I feel like it's twofold for me because in one sense, I look at the quote, the problem isn't the problem, but it's how you see or frame the problem that's the problem. So it's like if I feel my nervous system calm and I'm at peace and I'm like I accept whatever happens, then I feel like no matter how it's solved, I'm okay. But then in the same breath, it's like there's also the side where it's like depending on the problem, it's like what are you doing? Are you playing chess? Are you doing a game? Because there's clearly better options. So in that sense, it's like okay, well, did I make a detrimental mistake? And if so, then what can I learn from this? And if I did not make it, and if I end up in a better position, like let's say I'm playing chess, then oh look, I solved the problem correctly.
Fascinating. What number one problem that you feel you didn't solve correctly in your industry?
Ooh.
Time to get personal.
This is getting juicy.
Each
Well,
of you
I'll start.
don't take forever.
Yeah.
You all know
Do you want me
there's
to go
something.
first?
I'll
All
start.
right, go for it. Go.
I have solved every problem I had correctly because I solved the problem based on the information I had at that time. I took action and then I saw if it worked or not and I made adjustments. And then I used the information, that new information I had, to take more action, to test it out and see if it worked and make adjustments. So every time I make an action is part of the problem solving experience. So I'm always right based on the information I have at that
What a
given
cop out. I'm always
Okay.
right. It just led me on a different part of my journey. Come on. All right. Andre, you have one in mind. Tell us a bad
Yes.
decision that you made that you were like, all right, I learned. Good. but I wish that I had gone a different route?
I could go on like the past year, past 2 years. I got one for sure. I'd say that like I definitely could have stepped away from like certain situations where they just weren't the best people I was around a lot sooner. For example, like let's say I'm talking about the art industry, right? It's like I am just I'm like I have high levels of loyalty, but sometimes there's a point where it's like you got to let people burn or let people do their own thing, because like some of the people will drag you down, or they're just extremely toxic. Like I don't want to get into a lot of details, but like me not stepping away from certain situations sooner definitely impacted my life in negative ways, even if I wasn't necessarily doing something wrong myself. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you got to be quick to fire, even with your friends and your social circle.
Yeah.
All right, Brian, you're up.
Yeah, my answer is somewhat similar. I think when you realize that you trusted the wrong people, when you realize that someone loves you for what you have or what you do versus for who you actually are, that can be a tough pill to swallow. And I think not walking away from a bad situation sooner can be very detrimental. But at the same time, that's what you call experience, because that means I won't do that quite so much the next time around. And I think on the flip side, you have to evaluate what should you have done sooner. I mean, should you have hired a bigger team sooner? Should you have taken advantage of this great money-making idea sooner? Were you too afraid to step forward and do it? And should you have just stepped out in faith and just rolled the dice on yourself? I feel some of that. I feel a little bit of that. And you know what? Social media is just a big highlight reel. People are telling their wins, but they aren't telling all of the stuff that happened on the way to it. And so don't believe everything you read on social media.
All right, guys, that brings us to my favorite part of the show. It's our daily challenge time. We need to come up with a task or series of tasks that takes less than 5 minutes, costs $0, and is available to anyone in the world to improve our intellectual health with problem solving. What thoughts do you guys have?
Well, I think, what I said earlier, if you are facing a current challenge, write down that challenge in the form of a question. How can I X? And then write down as many answers as you can come up with and spend 5 or 10 minutes doing it. And doesn't cost you anything to do it except for some brain power and some time.
It's almost like the 1-3-1 method. Go ahead, Francine.
Something I do on a daily basis is I get grounded. I go outside barefoot and step on the earth, and I connect with the earth. It helps drain the negative energy from your body, and then you take in the positive energy from the earth. So whenever you're feeling out of balance, that's the best thing to do. Go stand in grass for 5 minutes.
Andre, what are your thoughts?
Strategic pausing and, auditing the senses.
All right, I think that
I'm all about regulating my emotions and regulating my nervous system. That's the main thing, because like I feel like that's like one of the key things that we all need to do in life, which follows a lot with Francine's train of thought.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so we're gonna do essentially the 1v3-1. So 1-3-1 is you identify a problem. So that's something we need to do, right? You gotta identify a problem for that day. Identify today's potentially largest problem. If we don't do that, it's gonna be real hard to solve something we don't know. All right, so now we're kind of take like Brian a little bit, and we will write down like 3 possible solutions.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, that's basically 3 pros and cons. So 3 possible solutions. And then, okay, we can do pros and cons. And then, so with Francine, we want to take like we'll not step outside, but I think we write down solutions, pros and cons. And then I think we just take some deep breaths and kind of drop the pen and paper, sit and think. Take a nice big Andre pause, do a little Francine meditation. I mean, I would say empty your hands and soul, and take large breaths while thinking about the solutions. So, I mean, if you have a real easy life and your biggest problem is what you're going to eat for breakfast, I guess we got to go through that, and it'll be at least good practice for it.
Write down 3 solutions. What can you eat? Yeah.
Eggs, cereal, toast. Oh, man. All right. I'm going to ponder about it. Close your eyes, empty your hands, and think about it. Okay. Yeah, I mean, so I guess that's a good strategy for problem solving. Come up with 3 potential solutions, come up with some pros and cons, and then drop everything, sit, take some deep breaths, think about it, and then come up with eggs and bacon. Cool. All right. Well, we are all
Yeah.
done, guys. Thank you so much. I'm going to put y'all backstage and finish up the show. Thank you, Brian, Andre, and Francine.
Likewise.
And thank you so much, audience, for watching another episode of Millionaires Are Made. I hope you guys enjoyed it. We went over intellectual health and problem solving. We learned the 1-3-1 method. We're going to try to ground ourselves, do some meditation, and a lot of thinking. There's a whole book I shouted out, Keith Cunningham, The Road Less Stupid. He made a boatload of money, made a few dumb decisions without thinking, and lost it all, then went back and earned it all back there again, and decided to write a book on how he purposely thinks, intentionally thinks, and pauses. Daily challenge is every morning, identify a potential challenge for that day, use the 1-3-1 method, and write down pros and cons, and then drop everything and take some deep breaths and think about your potential solutions. If you loved our show, don't forget to follow us. Thank you so much. And sponsors, if you guys are interested in being a sponsor, we'd love to have you.